All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode. The news was actually a little bit slow this week. We have some paddle updates, want to chat about some protective eyewear, our thoughts on a lot of the ball market, and then some really, really, really nerdy stuff in the kitchen that like 0.0001% of you are going to care about. But I realize it's not something I've talked about, and I should probably talk about it. So if most of you make it through the kitchen this week, I'll be shocked. And if you even cared, I'll be even more shocked.
Let us know in the comments when you get to the kitchen if you cared. That's all we need to know. So you can see how important Chris's words really are.
That's right. Okay, so first thing I want to say is I'm not going to go in depth on it yet because USAP hasn't made their own announcement yet, but just from talking to a number of manufacturers, there is going to be a very interesting grit update in the next, like grit rule update within the next, I don't know, hopefully like month or so. So just keep your eyes out because it might impact the game in some very interesting ways. We'll see if USAP can actually enforce it because as of now, the grit rules are hardly enforced unless you're at a pro event, and there's not a great way for them to do it anyways. So we'll see. It may have an impact, it may not, but it'll be interesting nonetheless, and there will definitely be some brands that get hit harder than others.
Some drama. Here we go. Gritgate. What is this? Gritgate number 4? 5?
Who even knows? This would be like Gritgate fix, though.
Grit. You know it's not going to be a fix. Like, there's just with
You're probably not wrong.
With the track record that we've had in the past, couple of years, it's only gotten worse.
I don't know if I'd say it's gotten worse or not. I guess in the pro game it's better. Amateurs, it's probably about the same as it's been. Yeah, to be honest.
But are people complaining? People aren't complaining about grit nearly as much.
No, I mean, amateurs definitely aren't complaining about grit, and pros, like, you hear some complaints occasionally, but things are passing. I think these days it's largely, I guess I actually don't know off the top of my head. I wanted to say it was deflection, but I actually don't know that to be a fact. So, yeah, but grit's not like usually a hot topic these days, but it might be soon.
All right, we'll see. All right, let's see. Coming up, let's talk about the Owl paddle approval. Do you have these paddles or no?
No, so I don't have any of the Owl paddles, and I really wasn't that interested in checking them out because they were only approved for the USAP quiet category, and I was like, well, what's the point? Who's going to buy this if it's only approved on the quiet category? And I feel like Owl must have realized this as well because as far as I can tell from their website and looking at USAP's website, it looks like it's just approved for tournament play now. I don't know what changed, but it looks like you can just take it to a tournament.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay. So it essentially passes all the other regular, USAP regulations for tournament play. Or did they just make an exception?
I mean, I can't imagine it was an exception. If my guess is that they probably realized this was important and that they weren't going to sell as many paddles unless it had that stamp. And then there may have been some push on USAP, like, look, it's fine. Like, I don't know what the holdup was. I don't know if it was a deflection thing. I don't know if it was the surface. My guess would probably be the surface since it's such a weird felt surface or whatever. But clearly, whatever it was, they managed to get it sorted out. But I'm definitely curious to see if that makes us see them around more. And I do think now it makes me care a little bit more because that's actually kind of interesting. And I've heard people complain that they actually thought the paddle was too quiet and it was like hard to know how the ball was being hit. So I'm curious if people will be upset about that.
I don't know. Do you feel that same way? Does the quiet sound bother you when you're playing? Or do you think you'll get used to it? Maybe it's different, but then like you'll get used to it.
It's possible, but I will say, like, when Isaac's concrete paddle, I mean, we obviously haven't played extensive games against that because it's so heavy. You can't, like, play it multiple games in a row. But it's so quiet that literally does not matter what type of ball you hit. You could hit an overhead, you could hit a dink. They sound literally identical. And it tripped me out every single time. Now, maybe if you just played against us for 3 months, it wouldn't matter anymore. However, I do think sound is a lot more important than people have traditionally thought.
I see. For those of you guys that don't know, a couple years ago, Isaac, which is Chris's brother, worked for a concrete company, and he literally molded a paddle fully made of concrete, and it was like 3.5, almost 4 pounds, and he was playing with it, and it was actually kind of nice. Like, you could really just, I don't know, destroy the ball, and it was quiet, but I was like, there's no way you could play with this thing, but, you know, we could play with it. So it's just funny that you brought it back up. That was like a memory I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
You should bring it back.
It's been a long time since we've chatted about that thing.
RPM numbers on that paddle? Can you let me know?
No, we never even tried.
What's the grit like on that?
I bet the power is pretty nuts. If you can swing it fast, it'd probably clobber the ball.
Yeah, it probably didn't pass. No, it passed deflection, I think.
I'm almost certain it would pass deflection, but yeah, the thing at like 3.5, 4 pounds is just insane.
Yeah. All right. Well,
yeah,
that's cool.
But anyways, moving on from those, I'm definitely curious to hear more about those. Maybe even get them for myself at some point. But next up, won't go too in depth on these yet because they are not released. However, I think they got approval recently. I'd have to double check that. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but it's part of what we're doing when we do our February trip with John and Braden. But Thrive, the pickleball paddle company, has 2 new paddles coming out, the Blackout and the Azul. Do you know if they're both coming out? Has he decided that they're both coming out, or was he still picking?
I think he's still picking, from what I understand. He's not sure. They're very similar, and he's like, I don't.
Yes.
He doesn't know if he wants to release them both or if he should just release one. I think he might be still doing testing to see which one, like, kind of performs or has, you know, longer lasting durability, or, you know, keeps their spin numbers better, things like that. So he's still kind of deciding. He's still kind of testing. He's giving it to a lot of his current pros for them to test out. So like Lauren Mercado, Grant Bond, Project Haka, I've seen them play with both. They're switching it in and out. So I think he's still kind of figuring that out. And I'm sure when we go and we play test them more with Braden and John Q, he'll probably, you know, maybe ask feedback from us to see what we think. So I think he's still deciding. But yeah, I've been playtesting for a while, since like winter break, at least the prototypes, and they hit freaking hard. Like, yeah,
they definitely hit hard. They're both hybrid shaped paddles, and I would say both of them probably hit harder than a black diamond.
Oh, for sure.
The Blackout for sure does, and the Azul I hit today, but it was also like 35 degrees outside, so it's hard to know. Like, the temperature is probably playing a large role in how that ball feels off the face. So like, I would need to play it indoor a little bit to have a better picture, but that was also definitely a solid paddle. I think probably a little bit more toned down than the Blackout, I would say.
Oh, you think so?
But
interesting.
Yeah, but again, it's hard to say. Like, I would need to hit them side by side, like indoors. Like, both of them I've had like one session with, so it's a little hard to say. But either way, they're both good paddles, both paddles that I could see the market liking quite a bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think people will like that paddle whenever or whichever one that he comes out with. But, you know, it's just another very powerful, hard-hitting paddle. And I mean, it's just what we've seen the industry move towards, like just harder hitting and harder hitting paddles, just harder and harder and harder. And it's, I don't know, it's a little scary. I don't know if like you feel like it's like hard hitting, that it's almost, do you feel like it's dangerous, or that you're like, whoa, you know, kind of like
specifically the Blackout, or just the market as a whole?
The Blackout, and then compared to the rest of the market.
No, it's not like Gearbox level where, you know, I get a little uneasy depending on who's on the other side with it. But I mean, someone could definitely hit the ball hard, but it's enough that I'm like, okay, like we're still playing pickleball, very, very powerful, but not like I'm scared to be here.
Okay, so I have a question now. So when, you know, someone's playing with the Gearbox Pro Power and they know how to really use it, that can be scary. Do you have that same feeling with any other paddle out there? Like, let's say the Annalee Waters 13, was it 13 or 11 millimeter paddle?
The 12.7.
The 12.
That one,
Yeah.
with the right person, that one does feel scary to me.
Okay. Any other ones?
I guess the tough part is like just depends on the player. Like I think the Pursuit Pro probably. No, I don't think so. I mean, it could be in the right hands. Like the Pursuit Pro definitely slaps hard enough to where like probably make me flinch on the right shot. But like Gearbox, like almost doesn't matter who it is. Like you know what that paddle is capable of.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll slap. And there's definitely more stuff like that coming that I think will be a little scary on the court.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, let's move on to another. This is a pretty hard hitting paddle as well. The CoreTek paddle that you've been hitting.
Yeah. So I wanted to make an update on this because I talked about this a little bit last week.
Please let us know. Is your brother okay?
He's still alive, yes.
Okay,
he survived having to put that clip in the pod.
If you guys didn't see it last week or whenever you posted it, Chris was playing with his CoreTek paddle and he was in like a hand battle exchange with his brother and he did like a scorpion counter or something and nailed him right in the jewels. And your brother was down for the count. And so I'm just making sure he's okay.
He was definitely down for the count.
I'm surprised I'm surprised he's still working for you. I might have quit. You didn't give him health benefits or anything?
He threatens me all the time. In the last week, I have bagged him so many times unintentionally. Like some of them I'm like winding up for an overhead that just shanks slightly. So instead of going down, it kind of goes straight and I just like peg him in the chest. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, dude, I'm going to kill you. He's like, I'm going to hit you so hard. But thankfully I'm still standing. I'm still here and alive.
Nice.
But anyways, the CoreTek. So I mentioned last week that I wasn't 100% positive if the one I was hitting had issues or not. And I did talk to the owner and I did confirm that mine had issues. He was saying that some of the ones he had, the core was like overstuffed with foam. So it was like pressing out too much. And that was causing it to hit harder than it should. So like if I pressed into it, it wasn't crunching that you heard, but the face would kind of push in and you could hear the foam. And then the other one, if I pressed into it, it felt exactly like a regular paddle where there's like no give. Now, I haven't hit the other one, but Isaac did when we were doing a session. I was like, can you just hit this and just tell me if you think it hits as hard? And he's like, definitely does not hit as hard as the other one. He's like, it's still powerful, but it's not like when we were hitting the broken one, that was for sure gearbox levels. Like it was nuts. The other one is not like that. So wanted to update people on that. Also, I'm pretty sure I said this last week, but I'm going to clarify it again just in case. These paddles are not USAP approved yet. The owner felt confident that they would be, but I would not buy a paddle until it's USA approved. So if I didn't say that last week, that's my bad. Clarifying that now. So I would wait for now. I'll be curious to hit it more later, but I have a feeling they'll have some couple humps to get over. Because I also, Braden had the same issue, I believe. I texted him, and I was just like, hey, just in case, I know you were messing with it. Like, this happened to mine. And he was like, yeah, like, mine was stupid powerful. And I think he checked, and his also had the same issue. So just be aware.
All right, you heard it here, guys, from the paddle nerd himself. Oh, speaking of which, hey, man, you gotta put on the belt and show everybody. People right behind you right now.
Yeah,
show them right now. Everybody out there, you're welcome. Oh, here he comes.
This bad boy, the belt from Doug
from Bread and Butter. Shout outs to Doug from Bread and Butter. The Paddle Nerd Awards. I can't believe you made it.
I don't have a better award than this. This is probably my most cherished award I've ever won for anything, and it's like half insult, maybe compliment.
It's all love. All you need to know, whether it's an insult or a compliment, it's all love.
Dude, I should just show up to a pickleball tournament with every medal I've ever won, plus this belt.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what we do here, at least me and some of my friends here in Oklahoma. If you go to a tournament and you win a medal, you have to wear that medal for like the rest of the day or the weekend, like everywhere you go. where you go to eat, where you go, like, even if it's not around pickleball people, just so, because some of those medals are real, like, tacky, like, and some of them are huge.
I feel like that would be so weird to wear in, like, a grocery store.
That's what I'm saying. You got to do it. And it's kind of hilarious. If you guys want to just laugh about something, with your friends when you're out playing pickleball at a tournament, if any of you guys win a medal, just make the decision or make it a requirement that they have to wear the medal everywhere that they go. Driving, going to the grocery store, I don't know, in the shower, in the pool, I don't know, who knows. It's just so funny.
Silly. Well, this leads perfectly into, I know this is so late, but I finally did get to hit the Loco. Me and Isaac did like a big testing day where we just took a bunch of paddles we hadn't really gotten to hit yet and then went out and hit them. So the Loco was one of them. Mm-hmm. And the Loco is pretty decent. It's definitely not a power paddle, but I think what's interesting about it, so it's on the softer side. I would say softer than a double black diamond, not as stiff off the face. So if you didn't like that about the double black diamond, like if you liked it, but you just didn't like that it was stiff, the Loco actually feels really good. Isaac and I played some skinny singles, and I was vibing with it pretty good. I don't know that it's a paddle I would personally use full time, but I did like how it felt off the face. And it kind of contrasts the filth pretty well, which is like little more poppy, little more powerful. That's what Isaac uses.
Yep.
And then the Loco, if you wanted something that was faster in the hand, more control oriented, this would be it. So it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
For sure.
Nice. Yeah. I still like the Loco, but I think I still prefer the filth over
shape-wise,
the Loco
you're
as well.
just a filth guy.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely the pink filth. Super nice. Love the pink filth.
That is nice.
I think Doug.
I think it looks sick.
You think he's still running some sort of promotion? I think you can buy 2 pink filths or something up until Valentine's Day. I'm not sure, for like
25% off, I think.
Yeah, something like
that. Check
that.
their website or Instagram. It's there.
Yeah, and
somewhere.
Plus those photos you took for the the marketing and the advertisements is too good.
Dude, first of all, everyone knows their marketing in general is just legendary. But the real hero was his wife putting up with that photo shoot.
Yeah, he went to JCPenney to take those like really awkward studio photo shoots, and he just used that for the advertisements. And he's dressed up in all pink, with a pink polo, and his wife did too, with like pink, like I think like ponytail or pigtails. It was just so funny. And we got to get some of the photos on the pod so you can see. But after he sent those photos to me, he's like, hey, Will, check this out. This is going to be awesome. And after he sent it to me, I told him, I said, you know something, Doug? How you convinced your wife to marry you is one of the great mysteries in this world that we still need to uncover.
That's really funny. There's no way I could convince Sarah to do that and then post it publicly as an advertisement.
Oh man, that would be legendary. I'm
telling you, the real hero is his wife.
Shout out to Jules. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, Loco's definitely a good paddle. I think there's a market for it, especially if you're wanting like a more control-styled thermoformed paddle. Also, that sauce is so flipping good. I love that Loco sauce. Like I asked for more of it because I really like it on my rice and chicken.
It's funny. There's people out there who buys a paddle and gets the sauce. You buy the sauce and the paddle is a bonus.
The paddle's
a bonus. Yeah.
That's really funny, but also it feels very accurate.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder if he's going to release more sauces on any other future paddle releases he's going to do.
Oh, they should totally do a sauce every time.
Yeah.
And no company is doing that. I like that.
Yes, me too.
It's fun.
All right. Next up, Gamma updates. These are the Gamma Obsidian paddles that you and I talked about in the previous pod. You got some updates for some of the price. You want to share them?
Yeah, so I didn't have this last time and just thought it would be good to update people because I said if the Airbender was cheaper than the Lux or right around the $200 mark, it would actually be a pretty good competitor to the Lux because they're kind of in a similar category, edgeless. They're a little thicker. I mean, I think the Airbender's 16. It's not 20 like the Lux. But Raw Carbon has the weighted cap
so
in the
butt cap. So it's better in that
then,
regard if you think about it.
And then also has the what they're calling a shock absorber / adds weight in the throat area. So which did make both of those things made the paddle feel pretty different. And so far, people that I've given the paddle to, they've all thought it was pretty good. Gave it to a guy who really likes the Lux, thought it was solid, and the paddle is going to be $200. So I think that's very well priced for what it is because, one, I feel like Gamma is a company, at least historically, if you look at other companies like of their size, might overcharge for that, or not necessarily even overcharge, but like minimum match the market. Like they probably could have went 250.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that they went a little bit lower. One, I feel like they had to just because Gamma's not had a great reputation for a while, but this I think makes people more willing to try the Airbender. Like if they went 275, I don't think people were going to do it.
Yeah. No, it's a good paddle. I'm going to play with the Airbender more and with, I guess, the caps, the different caps. I haven't experimented with that, but I did hit with the 16 millimeter and their 13 millimeter, and those are also very solid options to have in their lineup. So I think
those
they
will
kind
be
of have
160
everything for
by
everybody.
the way.
Oh, the Obsidians, the other ones will be 160.
Yep.
That's a pretty good price for thermoform raw carbon, like elongated. That's pretty good,
especially for that big of a brand, I guess, if you want to say it that way. But 10 millimeter, 13 and 16 all at 160, and I think there will be discount codes, so it will go even cheaper. So I feel like for a company of that size, that's priced very competitively, and I thought the 10 millimeter was quite a bit of fun to play with. So
yeah,
definitely something to keep an eye out for. But I also wanted to talk again about that weighted cap system, because last week I was like, dude, there's a company that did this. They've been talking to me, and I felt like an idiot that I couldn't remember the name.
Was it?
Grip. GRYP.
Okay.
So I don't know why I couldn't remember that. It is not a hard name to remember at all. So apologies to them. My bad. But they had their paddle, and they had sent me several different weighted caps, but they have a really heavy one. They have a 30-gram cap, which is 1 ounce.
30 grams.
That I slapped that thing in that paddle. I don't even know how to explain it. You would just have to have it in your hand, but it just felt like so whippy. Like your hands obviously aren't going to get any faster. The swing weight can't go lower, but like definitely changed the feel of the paddle. And that's what I wish Gamma had done, is done a... Actually, you know what I should see? I should... maybe I'll try this week. I should see if the grip butt cap will fit in the Gamma cap.
I think it might fit, because I popped out the butt cap of the Gamma paddle like pretty easily, and I think you can place it back on. It can snap back on. Gamma might have plans to release weighted butt caps.
Like well, no, Gamma does have weighted butt caps.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be like an accessory you can buy, I think, for like $24 or $25. And same thing with the shock absorbers. But Gamma only did, I think, 3 grams, 6, and 9 grams. So
this one's like 30. You said it was 30 grams.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
jeez.
Not everything probably necessarily needs to be 30, but having options is nice. And I hope that every company will mimic this, because I just don't see a reason not to. It's a good way to customize the paddle without having to put lead in the handle. Like, it just seems like a no-brainer to steal that feature.
So it doesn't change the swing weight that much at all?
It can't change swing weight. Putting it like you can't make swing weight lower unless you remove weight. However, putting weight in the handle, because your hand is like the
fulcrum.
Yeah, exactly. So like putting it below that won't make swing weight go up, but it also doesn't make it go down.
I see.
You're just changing the balance at that point. Like you're shifting, headlight. So, which is something I want to experiment more. I want to start doing. I tried it a while ago, but I want to do some more. I'm going to get a little bit more in depth, I think, with doing, especially after we do this trip.
Yeah.
With like this whole paddle fitting thing. I'm already testing some ideas at home on some ways to like help people match pedals better, because I think it'd be interesting to start doing reviews where I know my personal preferred setup. Because I've already started checking paddles that I like and figuring out what stats they have in common. And then I think in the future, I will try and set paddles up that way. So then it's like a more equal comparison when balance, swing weight, and twist weight are like in a similar ballpark, if not identical.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. All right, cool.
Yep. Okay, anyways, that's all we had for paddles this week. But I also wanted to talk about protective eyewear. I know we've dabbled in this a little bit, but I wanted to just do a little bit of a deeper dive because I've been testing more stuff. I've definitely become more of a believer in it in recent times.
With as crazy as these paddles are getting now, I feel like you got to have it.
Exactly. So I'm going to tell a story that if you guys are OG listeners, you've probably heard this. And if you're not, well, here's a new story for you. So I've always had like a bit of a flinching problem in pickleball, which I've actually started working on. Like one of our pros here, I took a lesson with him on counters, and then that branched out into a lot of different stuff. But anyways, there's some drills I'm doing now to just kind of get over.
Is to put it lightly, you literally jump off the ground. I'd have to tie like cement blocks to your feet so that doesn't happen. We might have to try that.
You know what the best part though is, Will? You're going to be really happy about this.
Okay, yeah.
Because one of the drills that Amrik has given me solves the issue that we had at Duper Nationals, which was people driving thirds at me.
All right, let's go.
So hopefully the next time we see each other or the next time we play a tournament, that will be a thing of the past. Hopefully. I will be working very hard at this because I really want this issue gone. But the reason I have this issue is because back when I played tennis, so I played growing up, fell out of it, kind of came back, and then like late teenage years, I was playing doubles with some friends. I hate doubles. Anyways, my partner kind of hits like a drop shot, and me and this other guy are both at the net, and we're probably no more than 14 to 20 feet away. Like we're in that range. And he just cranks a full-blown forehand drive and nails me straight in the eye. I immediately go down. Like,
what a dick.
People ran over my... Yeah. He didn't even apologize for it. So,
horrible. What an
I know.
asshole.
Dude, yeah, I know. That's a whole other thing. But so I got hit and then went to a hospital. So first of all, as soon as I opened my eye, I had no vision in my eye, which freaked me out. But I was like, okay... Like, I just got hit. Like, it'll probably come back. I did not have vision in that eye for over 8 hours. And the first hospital that I went to, they were, like, freaking out. They were like, oh, this is bad. Like, you have to send him to, like, the other hospital. Oh. And then when so at that point, I'm like, okay, this eye is gone. Like, there's no way. I get to the other one. They were more calm. And they were like, okay, I think you're going to be fine. And then, like, I waited a really long time at the hospital, but like my vision slowly started coming back. Like it went from being completely black, like no light, to like I could tell light was coming through, but I couldn't see. Anyways, it was easily, and I'm not exaggerating at all, that is by far the scariest thing that has ever happened to me. Like just because your quality of life reduces significantly if you only have one eye. Like depth perception is really bad.
I know. And I know this because like maybe almost 8-10 years ago, I got hit with Bell's palsy. And for those of you who don't know, it's like a viral infection or something that hits like your nerves. And basically like half of my face was paralyzed. And it like I woke up or whatever and I thought I had a stroke. So I went to the emergency room and they just told me I had Bell's palsy. Nobody really knows why it happens, but literally I couldn't eat. I couldn't taste anything. Like it was kind of hard to blink and I had to like wear an eye patch and it was like that for almost like a whole entire month, a little over a month before I got my feeling back. But yeah, like with one eye, like I couldn't blink. I essentially had an eye patch on like the whole time and it was miserable. Like your other eye is like irritated, your depth perception is off, can't really drive. I mean you can, but it's like you have to be very careful. But yeah, I can imagine it being really crappy.
Yeah, no, it was terrifying. And like halfway through the hospital visit I kind of just like accepted that this is probably how it was going to be. So I was like extremely thankful that my vision came back. But that is kind of what caused my flinching issue because now I just like think about getting hit in the eye all the time. And I've worn protective eyewear on and off since being in pickleball, and that has helped some, but the flinching is still there. But anyways, I say all that just to say why I think protective eyewear is important. And I think with paddles getting as hot as they are, especially at the lower levels, like people like at least at higher levels, people can like direct the ball where they want. Lower levels are kind of just swinging away. So like you don't know what they're going to do or where the ball might end up or on accident. Like to me, it's just not worth it. Like there's no scenario where I go, man, these glasses are so much worse that I'd rather risk this. Like, and if you think you got fast enough hands or whatever and you don't care, go for it. You do you. I'm not going to be mad about it. But like, I think for a large portion of people out there, it's worth just wearing them.
Yeah. And if it happens while Chris is around, he's going to look at you and he's going to give you that "I told you so" face, and it's going to suck. Because
I would be so scared for that person. I actually hit a friend in the face the other day. Thankfully, it slapped their cheek, but I felt like I had a flashback where I was like, oh my gosh, please tell me I did not hit him in the eye. I was like, I would feel absolutely horrible.
Yeah. At the very least, if you guys don't wear eyewear, at least wear like a cap with the brim, because at least then like you kind of have a little bit of protection, because like you could just kind of like close your eyes, and as soon as you tilt your head down, kind of like the brim, the bill of the hat can kind of protect your eyes a little bit. But like, you know, I think at the very least do that if you're not going to wear eyewear.
Yeah. And I do, just really quick, there's a couple options that I wanted to talk about for eyewear that I have used and enjoyed. So first, I had started off with the Gearbox glasses. I think for $40, if you're just looking for something cheap that you want to start with, easy, no-brainer. I thought they were great. I didn't really have any issues with them, to be honest. Like maybe the lens or the glass wasn't as high quality as some of the other ones I'm about to talk about, but for $40, no complaints. And then after that, carbon pivot, those are pretty good. If you take off the bottom portion of the frame, they aren't ugly anymore. They look like ski goggles. So ugly with the bottom portion on.
Okay.
But I take those off. Now I like them. I've actually been using those a lot. And then two other options really quick. The Oakley Flak 2.0. I've used those, and I like those quite a bit as well. It's just a different lens style, and I know those are built really well, meant for impact. And then lastly, Rhea Eyewear is also really good if you have the money to drop. I have some outdoor ones, and I've liked those quite a bit. So I think any of those will do really well. Find one that works for you. But yeah, I just want to stress again that I feel eyewear is important, and I only think it's going to get more important. And I feel like we're only one accident away at a big tournament
where it's like required.
Where this becomes, I don't even want to say required, but like where it scares people enough that people are like, oh shoot. Like I feel like, just imagine one big pro gets nailed. I imagine a lot more people would start wearing it.
Yeah. Agreed.
A guy on Facebook actually posted, I can't remember if he said he lost his vision, but he took a pickleball to the eye and had very severe damage. I think he might have said he wasn't sure if his vision was coming back. And so that kind of re-sparked all this in my head again. So it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just
save your eyeballs. Save your eyeballs.
Yep. So, all right, we'll move on from that. Just wanted to share some options with people. But last thing, just in terms of news and updates, I don't think I actually shared this with you. I didn't really share it anywhere. I kind of just forgot. But this guy, he writes these blogs for HuDef. He doesn't work for HuDef as far as I'm aware. I've talked to him a little bit even before this. But anyways, he wrote a couple articles, and then he was like, hey, I want to write an article about you. Can you answer all these questions?
Okay.
So I will leave it in the show notes, but if you guys want to read an interview about me, it'll be down there. I actually thought it was a very well constructed interview. There's a lot of interviews that kind of ask either boring things or repeat a lot of the same things. I felt like he did a good job kind of unpacking things that people haven't talked about as much. So you guys might find some interesting stuff in there. It's kind of just about me and the paddle reviews and some of the background and whatnot. So it was well done. I liked it.
Check it out. Speaking of interviews, did you watch my non-boring interview with Ben Johns?
I watched a little bit of it. Dude, people in the comments were loving it.
Oh yeah, I know. I didn't know that it was gonna be, so well received. If you guys haven't already, I made a video with Ben Johns, and I don't know if I talked about it on the last pod, but I wasn't gonna post it because if you looked at it, in my eyes, the quality was poor. I had people going in and out, interrupting me, and it was like end of the day. Ben I mean, from what I thought, he seemed like he was over. He's like, man, he doesn't want to be here. But I mean, I got some good answers out of him. So I asked him random questions like, does he like pineapple on pizza? Does he play video games? If he was an animal, what animal would he be? So if that's something that you guys are interested in, shameless plug, go to my channel and go watch it.
It is definitely the most like human interview I think anyone has ever seen of Ben, because again, similar to this article I was just talking about, when you get asked the same thing over and over and over, and you can tell there wasn't any thought put into it, and Ben's dealt with this way more than me. I'm not even saying I've had this that much, but like, I think at that point you just get worn down and you're like, it's just like,
the same
go through
thing.
my little routine. Here's my story, blah, blah, blah. But like, you got him to like laugh at some stuff or really think, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good interview when you can make the person like think and have a good time.
Yeah, no, I think my second question was, I think one of my questions was, what is the thing that peeves you or you hate the most? And I think he said like people revving their loud cars or engines obnoxiously outside. And then I think the follow-up question was, on a scale of 1 to people revving up their engines outside, how sick of you are you talking about pickleball? And I think he gave me like a 2 or a 4, and I was like, yo, let's go. He doesn't hate this moment right now.
That's right. But yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it was a good video to put out. And you know, it's really funny about that. You and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
And this is actually something funny we can kind of, I guess, explain to the viewers. There are lots of videos, maybe not lots, but there are definitely videos that we shoot and that may never see the light of day because we just think they're terrible. And I feel like this Ben one is an example where like, in terms of our personal bar for what we feel for our content, that one was definitely below the bar. But then you post it and people are like, you've been holding on to this. We love this.
the amount of people who said, dude, this has been in the vault for a year. How dare you? Like, they were mad. I'm like, oh shoot, my bad, y'all. So I don't know. I might have to go through the vault to see some old stuff that I recorded to see what might be worth putting out.
Dude, it makes me want to post the one I did with Colin now, because similar to you, I was like, this is so below what I feel is acceptable for my channel that I was like, I don't want to post it. But I feel like him and I did have a couple.
Post it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's right. I remember now, because at that event, you got Colin and I got Ben near like the end of the day. And so I'd be curious to see what you asked Colin, because I have no idea what you asked Colin.
I can't even remember. I know there was a few things we talked about that were... like I didn't go as off kilter as you did with like pineapple on pizza, but I tried to talk about things that people don't talk about as much with him, just because again, when you're that guy getting asked those questions, that's like so boring.
Yeah.
Like if you ask Colin again, you're like, yeah, so like, what is it like living in your brother's shadow? Is like, yeah, you're going to be the 800th person to ask me this. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what you asked him, since you are a professional documentary filmmaker. So
don't set the bar too high for this. This was not my finest work. Let's not set the bar higher than it needs to be.
I mean, the floor is probably higher than most, so I don't know. I think it'll be fine.
All right, I want to move on to our main topic, which was about pickleball balls. That's obviously been a hot topic with the Vulcan that's been going around for quite a bit. I've gotten to play some more balls a little bit recently, and I just maybe think it'd be a good topic. But the first thing I wanted to say is, so as I've been playing with these balls and they have like bad bounces, okay, obviously we knew the Dura, that could happen.
Yeah.
Wasn't all the time, but it was enough to like be annoying. And then the Franklin, personally, I never experienced bad bounces. Like the ball stays fine. The only problem with it is that it gets really soft, and then out of the factory there were some QC issues, but for the most part the bounce was fine. I feel like these bad ball bounces are like the new like core crushing of paddles, where it's like we're just accepting this even though it wasn't really an issue prior, and it's kind of annoying. So it's just weird because like the Pro S1 has it. I experienced it today for the first time, actually.
Yeah.
And then the Vulcan, obviously, and then Dura. And I haven't played with like the GB1 and a few others to know if they do it. But those three for sure go out around. And I'm like, man, are we just going to accept this? Like going out around feels like such a bad thing for a ball.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've all started going at around. Even like, for me, I made a video and like a while ago when I was playing the GB1 and the Pro S1, I felt like they didn't go out as round as much. But now that I've been playing with them more, I don't know if it's because now they're being mass produced or whatever. But yeah, they've been going out around more. Some of them have worse bounces than others. Like the Yola Helios has like pretty bad bounce in my opinion. And also there was another ball. Did you play with Gamma's new ball, the Chuck?
Me and Isaac did drill with it, but I was so focused on the paddle that I like wasn't even thinking about the ball. But clearly nothing bad happened in that like 45 minutes to an hour that made me go, wow, this thing's trash. But that's also not really, we didn't put it through its paces.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, that was pretty good. I've been playing a lot more with the Diadem ball as well. I've been liking and enjoying that ball
a lot. Of people like that ball.
Yeah, we've been playing with it at the OPP, Oklahoma Premier Pickleball League. That's the ball that we use. And yeah, I've been getting accustomed to it. And I do like that ball. It still goes out around as well, but I feel like I don't experience as many bad bounces with it. But I mean, I don't know. When you say that, it's really hard to say because it's not like I'm testing. I don't have enough sample size. You know, it's really
It's also hard to reproduce.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to test, you know, like the ball and the ball bounces and how quickly it goes out around because you don't know if maybe the ball that you picked out of your package is one that is, you know, a little bit more has potentially a defect or whatnot. So it's really difficult to test. Although I think we are trying. I know Braden put out like a ball video and John Q has been testing and has a spreadsheet about the different pickleballs as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's becoming a little more common to kind of test some stuff with the balls, and I think a lot of people are curious, especially because it feels like in the last 6 months we got a lot more options than we've had previously. But yeah, I here's what I will say though. Again, what I will give the biggest props to the Pro S1, even though it clearly goes out around. I mean, plenty of people have said it, but today we played in 35 degrees. Like absolute psychos. I don't know why my friends wanted to do that. But we played with one ball 7 games. And if this was a Dura, actually, funny enough, we played with a Vulcan, didn't even get through half a game. And it had the weirdest, like spider shatter crack. Oh. Like me and my friend both looked at each other and were like, I've never seen this before. Like it was weird.
Oh, really?
So we didn't even make it half a game.
So the crack was so big and so wide, it was like you could like go to another dimension with that crack, huh?
Well, it was like, yeah, I should have took a picture. I wonder if it's still in my bag. If I still have it, I'll take a picture of it because it was really weird. But I was impressed that the Pro S1, like, okay, obviously you can break it. People have said it has broke. But like 7 games, and there was not even a micro crack on the ball. Like I'm genuinely impressed with how durable the thing is. Again, the bad bounces were definitely frustrating. There were a few where like topspin serve was just like kicking up to my shoulder or like, you know, close to shoulder. And I was like, what the heck is this? Like that ball is bouncing high. But I think, in my opinion, it's pretty clear that in the winter, Pro S1 is like definitively a winner because you're just assuming that your priority is balls not breaking. And I actually think when selecting balls right now on the market, you need to just figure out what is your priority, like what do you care about? For the vast majority of rec players, I think that the Franklin ball is going to be fine and give you the least complaints. You show up to the courts, people probably going to play with it. The only people going to complain, probably big tournament players who don't want a slow ball.
Yeah, agreed. Yep, the Franklin, you still see the Franklin around. It's not going anywhere, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. I think in the winter, you'll probably see a lot of Pro S1s. Obviously, if you play a lot of PPAs, you're going to see the Vulcan. And then lots of other options like here and there. Like, for example, my league is still using my Wednesday night league that we have here still uses a Dura.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know how long that's going to stay, but, you know, we'll see. But anyways, I also want to talk about there are so many balls, and so APP is going to be using the owl ball, which no one's gotten to hit.
Oh, okay.
No one has it.
No.
Well, okay, I don't want to say nobody, but like us normal people don't have the owl ball.
I don't know. Are you normal? Like, just let us know out there if you think Chris and I are normal people in the pickleball community.
Well, we might not be normal in the head. Might be something wrong with us up there.
I mean, you did get hit in the head and the face with a tennis ball when you were younger, so I don't know. Yeah, something may not be, your screws may not all be
rattled. Exactly.
Yeah,
knocked
exactly.
out a bolt.
Yep. Yeah. So who knows?
But yeah, APP, owl ball. PPA, Vulcan ball. Duper is using the Chuck ball, which is the Gamma ball.
Oh.
Rec players using a Franklin. My league still using a Dura. I'm like, dude, you got to buy like 6 different balls depending on what league you're going to play in.
Do you think that does this impact your decision on which paddle you kind of play with? I do know, like,
no,
it doesn't. Sometimes I'm like, oh, we're playing with this. I might want to use this paddle because, like, I know, if there's a Franklin, I'm like, okay, I can play with a harder hitting paddle. Let
me rephrase. The only ball that makes me consider that is the Franklin. And like when I was in Hawaii, I was like, it actually probably would be really nice to have the gearbox right about now, because I was like, I could just finish the point so much easier. But beyond that specific scenario, I wouldn't change my paddle.
I see. Are you still, is the gearbox still your go-to, is your daily driver, or?
No, has not been. Now, however, that's largely due to I had to get back to reviewing other paddles, but I've really, really been liking that 11.624 Hirachi X.
Is that what you've been playing the Wednesday League?
Yep.
Okay.
I pretty much been using that and my double black diamond, because obviously the double black diamond is just super comfortable to me. But yeah, those are like my 2 go-tos. And now, however, the gearbox, I'm working on an update video. I've been kind of gathering a lot of info for the last month, and I know everyone's heard me talk about this. And I just had a really long call with Rafa from Gearbox. It was like an hour and a half, like 2 days ago. So I'm hoping to make an update video, give you guys some of my thoughts on the Gearbox. But the main thing is I wasn't sure with the QC issues that were happening how long they were going to go, and I didn't want to keep recommending it if those weren't going to be fixed.
Okay.
Some of my concerns have been eased a little bit, but I'll need more time in seeing the market to know. But also, it was like a combo of things. Some people would get kind of mad when I would play with it because it just hits so hard. Like, you're just playing a different game. Like, if you bring a gearbox to anywhere else and they're playing with thermoformed paddles, you will be the hardest hitting person on that court, assuming you're not a total noodle arm. I'm a noodle arm, and I'm still the hardest hitting one on the court if I got that gearbox.
All right. Uh-huh.
So sometimes it just felt annoying when people would like make comments and be like, "Oh, it's the gearbox," and it's like, it's like, this is just annoying.
It's like 2-3 years ago when tennis players were coming into the game and they were just bangers. They're just banging everything. Like, oh, tennis. Now they're
players. Like, oh, those gearbox players. That's what it feels like. So those were the 2 main things. It was that, and then also, as my paddle kept like getting hotter and hotter, the more it was being used, it was just like, oh, like I'm actually having to think about my resets quite a bit more. Like, since I reviewed the paddle, I remember saying in my review, I was like, yeah, like it's a very powerful paddle, but for the power it has, I feel like I have really good control. And now I feel like I've lost that control, and I have 3 gearboxes. I bought 2 myself so I could conduct some of these tests. And the brand new one does not hit the same as my broken in one. That's well established. Everyone knows that now. Most people know that now. But it's like, oh yeah, like controlling this one's easy. Then I pick mine up and I'm like, oh gosh, like it's got to be really soft in the hand. So it's not even that I don't like the paddle. I still think it's top tier paddle, but if I went to a tournament, I would have to be so dialed in. Like, there's no margin for me to make error in my reset game. And I don't trust that I can play that perfect in a tournament every time.
I see. No, all right. Makes sense.
We'll see. I may come back to it, but yeah, there'll be an update video on that soon.
Sweet.
All right. Okay. Anyways, on that ball note, I guess we'll just end this topic with times were so much simpler like a year ago.
Yeah.
Franklin and Dura. That was it.
Yep.
Indoor, pretty much. I mean, there were other balls, but those were the only 2 that people cared about.
Yeah. Can I also say this too? We talk about, like, there's indoor and outdoor ball. And some people are confused, like when you say indoor ball, because we're not necessarily referring that it's played specifically indoor. I think we're really referring to the surface that because you could technically have the same surface that you played outside, like a regular concrete court you find on a tennis court, etc. But you can take that same surface and bring it indoors, and you still play with an outdoor ball. But now it just happens to be indoors, and I think a lot of new players get that kind of confused. So when we mention, if anybody ever mentions, oh, you're playing with the outdoor ball or indoor ball, what they're really referring to is the court surface. So if it's like a regular,
usually a gym floor, is what people say when they say like indoor. Using an indoor ball. It's like a gym rubbery surface, not like your hard court outside.
Exactly, or a hardwood floor. That's what they mean when they mean indoors. So just to clarify that.
And to clarify even further, indoor balls are usually 26 holes. They're I don't know if this is actually the case, but it feels like it. The walls are a bit thicker and the ball is more squishy. So like it feels very different and looks even different from an outdoor ball.
Right. So
outdoor balls usually have 40 holes or 38 now with like the Pros one.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go.
Yep.
All right. Anything else that you want to talk about on the balls?
No, I think pretty much good there. I guess the last thing I'll wrap up with is there's just so many options now. Like I'm just going to try and rattle off what I can think of off the top of my head in terms of balls. So Owl Ball, Franklin, Dura, Gamma Chuck, the Vulcan, Crown, Oso, Vega, which I don't know anything about, but I've heard people talking about it.
Yeah.
Obviously New Pipo has a ball. And now for Diadem. So that right there is 10. If you like, it's just too many. I kind of wish we could just consolidate a little bit, and I'm sure there's some overlap in these balls, obviously. So it's like, what I have found so far is I've heard a lot of really good things about the Diadem. I don't hear a ton of complaints about that in general. And then, I don't know, that might be people say it's soft. But also, I said this, remember at Nationals? I said I liked watching the Pros with the Franklin because the rallies were longer.
Yeah, it's true.
So, I obviously don't want on a total marshmallow ball, but, maybe something in the middle, like the speed of the Vulcan, which actually, I should clarify this, too. If the Vulcan ball didn't go out of round, if it just held its shape like a Franklin does.
I mean, yeah, but that's every ball. If every ball just held their shape more, it'd be better. Right?
Well, yes, obviously better, but I like the Vulcan ball if it doesn't go out of round. It's just the out of round part that I don't like. When I play games with it and it's good, which doesn't last very long, totally fine.
It just goes out of round too fast.
Yeah, too fast, especially for the price. So I think I've heard some stuff that Vulcan's going to be tweaking the formula a little bit. So if they can fix that, I'm not going to say oh man, now I'll pay $4 and be happy about it. But I'd complain a lot less. It's just don't go out of round. But yeah,
okay,
that's all I got on balls.
All right, cool. Well, if you made it here, you've made it to the kitchen. And this week's kitchen is another rant from Chris. Take it away, Chris.
It's not a rant. It's just here's something I've realized. And this is on me. I haven't done a good job of this. There are things that I assume viewers or even just consumers know that
we know.
Me, I'll say me specifically. I don't want to speak for everyone else in the industry, but I assume that people know I do these things, and I'm slowly realizing that no one does. And of course they wouldn't because I don't talk about them. But I only think that because I spend a lot of hours on it. So for example, spin tests. When I started doing this, 2 years ago,
were you the first person?
Yeah,
you were the first person to do the spin test.
Yep. So when I started doing this, I started doing it, filming it in 120 frames a second. Yep. And then as paddles got more and more spinny, I quickly realized 120 does not work, or it's not nearly as accurate. So I went to 240, and that significantly upped the accuracy. And then after that, I was like, okay, the shutter speed that you're using definitely matters in terms of like being able to track the ball easier. And then when we had to do stuff indoors, I was like, some cameras are obviously way better at doing this in low light than others, which could affect accuracy. Long story short, I went through a lot of different things and discovered that there were a lot of different issues. For example, doing the spin test, I can't say this is true for every phone, but at least on iPhones, the 240 frames a second that you film on your phone is actually, it's variable. So it could be 240. It could also be 218. It could also be 210. So
you can't lock it.
You can't lock it. I mean, maybe now you can with like the Blackmagic camera app. I haven't tried that. That's new. But long story short, I had tested all these things and realized like, oh, wait, on a phone, this is less accurate. So then I ended up getting stuff like the Sony FX30 that I have now, which has no problem with low light, can obviously set your shutter speed, frame rate, everything. It's the camera that I realized could do it all. GoPro can kind of do it, but you need a lot of light, which you don't always have access to. Like in the winter, that was my problem. Don't have access to the sun anymore, and it's cold. So, I say all of that because there's a lot of stuff like that people don't know about. And then I realized as more people started doing this, because when I was the only one doing it, it didn't matter. I knew what I knew. And now there's obviously a lot of reviewers, and I was like, oh, shoot. I don't know who's doing this or who's doing it right. So I was like, I should talk about this. And gosh, I'm totally forgetting.
Basically, Chris is saying you're all doing it wrong.
No, me. Definitely not saying that. I know pretty positive John's doing it correctly. Braden was 120 for a while, I think, and then upgraded to 240.
Yeah, or now he's got that new speed gun.
The radar gun, which we'll talk about that more in a minute. But who was it? It's like Pursuit Pickleball. Is that his channel name?
Pickleball Journey?
No, not Pickleball Pursuit. I think that's their name. They're a newer review channel, but they had tagged me in my Discord, and they had mentioned the phone thing because they had discovered the same issue, and they were like, I don't think this is accurate at all. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is like what prompted this. I was like, wait, not everyone knows this. And so we went back and forth, and I explained like, I think you do need nicer equipment to do this. What I feel is more proper or whatever.
Yeah. It's still not perfect, but better.
No, definitely not perfect. I think if we could get up to like 500 FPS, that would be really ideal. But to do that, you're gonna pour some good cash to do it
for those of you out there listening. If this is going over your head, when he says FPS, he's talking about frames per second. It's basically how many frames the camera takes as you're recording video, and this is what we use to help calculate the revolutions in a ball, which gives the RPMs that you see on these spreadsheets that come from Chris or Braden, John Q, and any other paddle reviewer out there. Yep. And I mean, yes, I've known this has also been an issue and a problem, and which is one of the reasons why I don't really do it and I don't really talk about it in my review, because it's so there's so many things that, like, so many variables and so many things can go wrong. You have to have the right equipment and the right variables, and because so many things can change, I don't know, I just didn't feel like it was worth the time, like at least for me, to do it. So
it's really definitely very time intensive.
Exactly. You guys are literally sitting there counting frames and putting it in like an equation, and I'm like, Chris, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to look at your spreadsheet and I'm going to go off that.
I would hate to know how many hours of my life I've sunk into doing this. It's probably a number that would make me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, I know. I mean, people don't know that, so I'm like,
So now I'm going to go into some other nerdy stuff. This is largely going to be for reviewers, just so that basically the reason I'm talking about all of this is I want everyone to be on the same page. This isn't to say like, oh, this person's doing it bad, but what I want is so at least people know that we're kind of all on the same baseline and that results are actually comparable. Because comparing like 120 FPS results to 240, you're going to get slightly different numbers, and I don't think it'd be super comparable. So that's why I say that. Anyways, one other disclaimer before I go into the nerdy stuff. I think the spin test is less relevant today than when I came up with it. I still think it's useful. For example, John reviewed the Proton paddles. Allegedly, those get really good spin. I'll hopefully get some soon, and that has a different type of surface material. When I started doing this, paddles had much more varied surfaces than they do now. Now all the top paddles for the most part are just raw carbon fiber or paint grit like Selkirk. So you have like 2, maybe 3 competing surface types that you're comparing. Like, and you know, peel plies will vary a little bit. It's just not as relevant, I think, as it used to be. When you had like, oh, here's spray on grit versus raw carbon fiber, more relevant. Now when you're just comparing like raw carbon fiber to another raw carbon fiber,
yeah,
I think that's less important than it used to be.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And even the other things, I mean, I feel like Selkirk is the only company that's really heavily still doing some sort of spray on grit, but theirs get pretty good numbers. But I remember the spray on grit that you got from, you know, previous generation paddles, you know, just a year or so ago, they did not get good spin. And if they got decent spin, like that stuff would wear out within like a week.
Franklin was like a day or 2.
Right, exactly. So it's definitely changed a lot. But I think, at least now, I think the raw carbon fiber regular peel ply surface is the superior surface, at least as it stands right now. And there's some variation between paddles, but I don't think it's enough to, I don't know, like you said, be that much of a difference. You know, 100 RPMs here or there. If they're all getting above like 1800, 1900, is like, you know, according to your numbers, they're all within like the same tier, and it almost doesn't matter.
Yep, for sure. All right, here's the nerdy details. This is for you reviewers out there. Here is basically how I do the test. So I mark a ball in 3/4 worth of Sharpie. I don't do half because if the ball is hit on the wrong axis, it's significantly harder to count frames, if not impossible, if you hit the ball completely on the wrong axis. If you do 3/4, you can always count the frames with no issues. So that's why I do that. I personally carry 10 balls with me because I do 10 serves, and that way I don't have to have the same ball hit to me over and over. Also, less wear and tear on the ball.
Yeah.
I use a Franklin ball. Yep. I film in 240 FPS. Don't do it on a cell phone. Especially if you're not putting the video file into a video editor that can verify the frame rate that you're getting, I would completely throw out cell phones. Honestly, I would just throw out cell phones, period, because I just think there's too many possible issues that you can't account for. 120 FPS, wouldn't really trust it anymore. I think RPMs are getting too high for it to be a very accurate number. As far as camera settings go, I do 1/1600th for the shutter speed because I find that that is not necessarily the minimum, but the minimum that I like to go to and still have a very clear image without a lot of motion blur on the ball. If you want a camera recommendation, the Sony FX30 will do it pretty well. It's not cheap.
No.
Definitely not cheap. The GoPro, like Hero 10 and above, can do it, but you have to do it with sunlight. So if you're not in a warm state and you have to film it indoors, don't even bother with the GoPro because the low light will be very bad. Yeah. After that, you hit 10 legal serves, and then we do 10 so you can average
10
them.
legal serves? What are we talking about? Is you got to drop the
Are
ball.
we talking PPA or are we talking?
What are we talking?
We're definitely not talking PPA.
Okay.
Definitely not talking PPA. Stupid. Then after that, you count the video frames to get the RPM of that shot. So you find a spot where the ball is level, and then you count how many video frames it takes to get back to completely level. And then John Q has a spreadsheet that he gave me, and I guess I can share it or he can share it if the public wants it, but I won't share it without asking him. But it's just a spreadsheet where you can put in the frames and it spits out the math for you. You say, here's my frame rate, here's how many video frames it was, and then it does all the math for you. There used to be a bowling website that could do this for you, and now that bowling website's gone. So then John had this, and it's very helpful. So thank you, John.
Shout outs to John.
John is a legend.
Legend.
So that's really all there is to it. That's how you get the result, and then you average those 10 shots so that you don't have like one high number that skews it or one low number. Almost never these days do I have big variance. Like normally it's one frame, which is not super significant. But alternatively, Braden is using it. Pickleball Journey's using it. They're using the Stalker Pro 2. Braden is upgrading to the Stalker Pro 3S, and I have one on the way. Basically, it's a radar gun that can track RPM. I tested the Stalker Pro 2 a year and a half ago, and I personally had found it less accurate. I was getting some wonky readings, like it would go way low or way high, and I would compare it to my video results, and I wasn't super happy with it. So I returned it. Then when I saw people starting to use it again, I was like, well, maybe we should check it out again. And then I found out they had a new version. So that could be the better way to do it in the future. I'm going to do a ton of results as soon as mine comes this week, and then figure out if it's worth buying. And I'll let people know. But
you're going to compare it. You're going to compare it with your video results. I'm assuming you're going to do some video results, and you're going to do some with the radar gun, and then you're going to
I'll do them side by side.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. See how close they are. And I hope it works, because I'm telling you right now, the radar gun, you would take something that is at literal hours of work, and you could finish it in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. So much better.
So much better. So that could be an option. And also, like, the Stalker Pro 3S, after you finish kitting out a like camera, they're going to be like the same price. But at least the camera, you can like multi-purpose, right? You could still use it for YouTube. Yeah. The radar gun, like, you can only use it for...
How much is that radar gun? It was like 3,000 or something?
It's like $3,000 after tax.
Dang, that's how you know, guys, that Chris and all of us out there are committed, yo. They're spending literally 3Gs so they can count revolutions on the ball to tell you about a stat that necessarily doesn't even matter that much right now anymore.
Yeah, right, right.
That's commitment.
Yep. So that's pretty much all the info. I think it would be good if like reviewers started disclosing how they were doing it, just so everyone's on the same page. I know the ball can vary amongst people. I know Pickleball Journey likes to use the two-toned balls or whatever, and that might grab on the pad a little different. That I'm less concerned with. Really what it comes down to is the frame rate matters a significant amount, as well as the shutter speed, and making sure you're not doing it on a cell phone. If it's been done on a cell phone, I would entirely throw out the results, because I tested it for so long and just, it's not worth it.
Okay. Thank you, Chris, for nerding out and letting everybody know. I'm sure everybody is, fast asleep listening to this portion of the pod right now.
100%. We just put at least like 22 people to sleep with this portion. I will be shocked if there is any single one person who is not a reviewer that gets to this point and goes, well, I actually thought that was interesting.
I don't know. You might be surprised. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe.
Let us know down in the comments if you thought it was boring or not.
Do you have, before we wrap up, do you have anything going on this coming week that's interesting?
No, not really. I'm just like chilling. I'm trying to catch up on some work. Although there was a response from my good friend Jenna. You remember Jenna? So Jenna plays with me in the OPP league, and last week you said something to where you're like, dude, you said something along the lines of like, well, the reason why Jenna invited you to the OPP league is because she wanted free marketing. So she responded back to that, and she said something along the lines of like, Chris, he's just jealous that he didn't get an invite. So she said. And then we were just, talking, more about it. And Chris, even I was the middleman between this text conversation between Jenna, and Chris was like, you know what, Jenna, it's okay. I'll send you an invoice next week each time I mention about the OPP on the podcast. You're welcome. Yeah,
I'll send an invoice for this week because this is free advertising. That's so funny to me. What's funny is there's a bunch of texts, but how they read, I know she wasn't actually trying to be aggressive about it. No,
definitely not.
But what was so funny to me is the way it was worded was so aggressive that I was like, dude, I've never even spoke to you. What did I do?
That's why it's funny. She responded something back like along the lines, if Chris needs help starting his own league similar to OPP, let him know that my consulting fee is very reasonable. And I just thought that was so funny. Jenna's hilarious. And then that, the conversation led to, we should do somewhat of like a team exhibition match. And I said, oh, that'd be actually pretty dope. I think Chris would totally be down for it. So it would be Jenna, and then I'd probably get other two pros here in Oklahoma. So it'd probably be Chris Hayworth, probably Cale Hammond, and then, I'd round out the fourth. And then on your team, I'm assuming it'd be you it would probably be Anik Lohani, Amrik.
Probably Amrik.
And I guess for your female player, I think the best female player I know from Minneapolis is Jennifer Tavernier.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sick.
I'd be very curious to see how that would stack up. Genuinely, I don't know who would win that.
I don't know either. Maybe we'll make it happen. I think that'd be pretty sick to have a little exhibition match,
You know what would be great?
What?
Oh, if like our mixed match was like me and Jen and you and Jenna.
Oh yeah. No, that'd be sick. We're totally doing that. Are you kidding? If that's happening,
and
that's
then for
totally
sure it would just be flipped, where our females are the ones on the left, and then you and I are on the right, and then we're kind of just like slap fighting each other the whole time.
Maybe, but I don't know. Jen and I have been playing and practicing, and she stacks me on the left because Jenna's backhand is monstrous. Like, oh my gosh, like dude, her poaching is disgusting. So yeah,
well, maybe one day we'll make this happen.
I know. Well, I think we'll definitely make it happen. There should be more, events and like rivalries like this. I think it's just more fun to see, state versus state, city versus city, town versus town, which you kind of have to. You should just start your own league up there, dude. You have the.
I didn't even try and start beef. Let's make it clear that Jenna came to me with the beef.
Chris is like, I'm a vegetarian. I did nothing. I don't want no beef. I prefer chicken.
That's really funny.
Okay. But yeah,
all right. I think that's pretty much everything for me. I guess I'll just like look around the office and see if I missed any interesting news that might be coming up. But
no, I
don't think I did.
Yeah. Next week, is it next? No, it's not next week. Then we'll be together with John and Brayden. It's the following week. It's in 2 weeks. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. We'll have some more information about that. I'll have to talk about that with you in private with some of the itinerary and when we have court time and whatnot. But definitely, sub and listen and follow along because we will be playing each other at a public court somewhere in Las Vegas. And if you guys would like to come and kind of meet us, all 4 of us, you're more than welcome. And we're going to play each other and you can come root for your favorite paddle reviewer on court.
Did we say that where we're going to be? Like not exact, but like what state? Have we even said that?
I mean, we mentioned that I thought we mentioned that we'll be in Las Vegas.
Okay, I just couldn't remember if we said we'd be in Vegas.
Yeah, we're going to be in Vegas. So there you go. Now you guys know. Ha.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff, Will. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Later. Peace.
Peace.